Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading Podcast, Season 2, Episode 1. I'm your co-host, Skye.
And I'm your co-host, Susan. How are you today, Skye?
I'm good, Susan. I am still trying to adjust back to Italy's time zone. I have never had this much trouble with jet lag, but we're slowly but surely getting back on the right time zone. So I'm doing good. I'm feeling like I'm starting to settle back into a routine. So I'm excited for today's episode to really give me some motivation to get there. So, how are you?
I'm great. I too am settling into a new routine, new normal, which we will get into on this podcast. So, long story short, when Skye was in the States, we were supposed to record like a live episode with us sitting together in the same space. And we are going to record an episode for you guys where we just talked and caught up on stuff and didn't have like an advicey episode. Well, that didn't happen because my husband had emergency surgery, and the 2 days she was scheduled to be here, we were in the hospital and Chris was having surgery. But we did still get to see each other, which was amazing and long overdue. And while it was brief, it was well deserved. And we had our first branding photo shoot. Literally, my husband gets wheeled to the OR to have surgery. I grab all my stuff and I like told the nurses, like, call me if you need anything, like if anything happens. And I ran home. Luckily, we live very close to the hospital. Run home. Skye has already made herself comfortable, has a mimosa ready for me. And we got ready. We got to have like our fun get ready with me moment. And then we went and had our photo shoot and then ran right back to the hospital after our photos were done. So it was a wild whirlwind, was not what we had planned because we had a very cute girls' day and a half trip planned. And while I'm very disappointed that didn't happen, I'm very grateful Chris is okay. And I still got to see you and we got to watch Hocus Pocus and eat takeout.
Yes. And honestly, like the photos turned out so perfectly, which of course like I would have loved to have more time with you and would have loved to have our perfect plan, but like if we haven't learned if we've learned one thing over the past year, it's just to really go with the flow. And I am so
Yep.
proud of you for the way you handled that entire week and like the fact that you still wanted me up and still wanted to do the photos and like we were able to get those brand photos done for the business and still able to spend time together and you were able to disconnect in the ways you were able to even with Chris. And so it was insane and it was definitely difficult for you obviously, but I'm really grateful that it still worked out even with the way it did work out.
Yes, it was all worth it. And I'm glad we did it. I would have been very upset.
Mm-hmm.
The timing all worked out perfect, the timing of everything as it should.
Yep.
And it was so good.
Yep.
But that was wild. So we had that fiasco, and then Chris came home. So Chris was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. He came home. We were home 24 hours, and then a tree fell and landed on our barn. So then we had that to like deal with and clean up. So now this is the first week where things feel normal and he's functioning, I'm functioning, and now we're back and it feels good because this is going to sound so weird. It feels great that you're back in Italy because now we're back on our same schedule. I will admit it was so weird having you on our time frame. I was so lonely in the morning. It's 4 a.m. and I have no one to talk to.
It's so funny, and I've said this to a few people, and we mentioned it to Nicole when we took our photos because she was asking us how it works running a business, like with how far we are. And it's actually so much easier when I'm 6 hours ahead of you because you wake up so freaking early that we actually align. And with Nick's hockey schedule, and honestly, for my work schedule too, it works to have my day shifted. So usually we'll sleep in. I'll be honest with you, like, I think this season, I'm probably getting up an hour, hour and a half before you. That's it. Just with the way we're going to stay up so much later because of the practices and games and everything like that. So, us being this time so much far apart, so many hours apart, works out so much better for the company. And you are the only person that I talk to more when I'm here than when I was home, which, you know what? It works out like whatever works. And I'm definitely grateful to be back on our little routine as well.
Yes, it was so weird because I was so excited. Like you landed in the States and I was like, she's home. Like I feel so good that she's like on this side of the ocean. And then I was like, oh, like we really don't talk that much because my like when I want to socialize, when I have the battery for it is early in the morning. And then your day would start later as it should. You were on vacation. And I'm like, it's like 5 p.m. and I'm like, I don't have the energy to
Yeah.
just like talk right now.
Yep.
But
No,
yeah,
it,
this morning it was like I was manic when I got your text message. I was like, "She's up," and then I was like, "She's in Italy." Like that's why I was like,
yeah,
"We're
yeah,
back. We're back on our routine."
we are. And I think so that was your story over the past 2 weeks. I was home for a month and we did get to record a few times while I was home, which I wasn't sure if it was gonna work out at all even, but with my dad literally being a professional podcaster as his profession, it really helped because we got to use the fancy studio and that was really fun. But with like we crammed in so much over the month I was home. It's actually insane. Like being back here, I think the airplane was the first time I like really sat without like a purpose for quite some time, which was kind of lovely in a way, but I wouldn't change it for the world because it was amazing that we were able to fit so much in. But it meant that we did take off a couple of weeks of recording and then flying back here from home was such a disaster with oh my God, my flight was delayed 3 hours. So it meant like my poor parents were supposed to go to a concert. I don't know if I told you that part of it. So they had to sell their concert tickets and bring me to the airport late, which meant that I was getting in late the next day. And then we live so far from an airport here. So I have to do like extra travel to get from the airport back to my apartment here in Murano. So it was like planes, trains, and automobiles times like a million, it felt like. And it was just like the longest 2 days after like such a long, amazing, but long month home. So it was a lot of craziness. And I think that's why the jet lag is so bad because I was so sleep deprived. And then we're up late because of Nick's schedule. So it's like, I don't know if I'm ever going to fully adjust back or if we're just going to go in this like middle ground here, which is fine. But I'm happy to finally be decompressing. But I feel like I had a lot of like good travel essentials and like travel tips that maybe would be a great episode like in the future or whatever, just like how to survive when you're doing like long travel days like that and like literally stay sane because it was a lot.
That would be a really cool episode and a blog.
Yeah.
That would
Oh,
be fun.
love it. Yep. Love
Love
it.
that.
We should get back into our blogs. I know we can talk about this not on the podcast, but it's been a couple months and I'm really happy we took the time off because I think we both needed it for various reasons. But those weekly blogs, I feel like I know we both love writing them, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback from people that enjoy like the very specific advice and tips we give on the blog compared to the more like chatty advice we give on the pod here.
Yeah, I agree. And it feels like a more intimate way to talk. Cause I know when we're doing the podcast, I always picture like an audience. I know that it's just you and I talking,
Yeah.
but I always feel like it's a bigger audience than when we do blogs where I feel like I'm talking directly to one person when they're
Yep.
reading it.
Yep. And we both write for our not DLL jobs. So I think it's a nice little way for us both to write in a way that's like more informal and like write about things we want to be writing about. So yeah, let's get back into that. Maybe next week or this week. We'll
Yeah.
decide.
I feel like this episode we can touch on so many different
Yes.
categories of life because we're just catching up. So let's talk about food because I know
Sweet.
you're excited to bring some food back with you to Italy, and our diet has completely changed because
Yes.
what?
I literally had to yell your name because I took random notes for this, and one of the things I wrote down was like meals I like to make. And I was like, I don't know if we'll touch on that, but I'll write it down anyways. Like, so
That's hilarious.
connected. Yes,
I love
let's do it.
it. So Chris had his gallbladder out. That is the organ they needed to remove quickly. And now he's on a low fat diet because you can't process fat when you have no gallbladder. So that has changed the way we eat drastically. And I've been loving it. I started tracking our macros. I don't know if I told you this.
No.
Okay, so I've tried to track food in the past to be aligned with like the workouts I'm doing to get the most out of them. And I've never liked it. I've always found that the apps made me like feel shameful or I didn't just enjoy doing it and it didn't bring good feelings around it. But I found this app and I can customize it. So right now it's pink. And I think that gets me logging in every single day, that alone. But it's called the Lose It app. This is not sponsored. And it's been great. I track my macros and it just helps me understand what's in food. And I don't know if it's because it lays it out more simpler than if I was just like trying to read the back of
Sure.
a container. But it's been great because there's so many things that I like quote unquote thought were healthy that actually have a lot of fat in them, which were making Chris's stomach hurt after I fed him those. So that's been really nice. And just learning how to create different things using different ingredients to elevate like just chicken and veggies, but to make it a little tastier and more enjoyable for us because that's pretty much what we're eating, at least for dinners.
Hmm. I am getting back into like the mindset of feeding someone else. So I
Yeah.
definitely Nick doesn't have like we don't have we both have our gallbladders, but being an athlete going into the season now, it's important that he's eating like the right stuff for his literal career. So definitely going back into that like meat, veggie, carb mindset and just trying to switch it up so it stays interesting. Can he do ground, or I guess you could do it with any meat, but one of my favorites that we've done for a couple months now is burger bowls. You probably do some variation on this too, but it's so good. It's so perfect because it gives you like if you're craving a burger, it totally hits all those like taste points that you want in a burger, but you're losing the carb aspect and it's healthier, but it's also so much more filling, I find, because you can add
Yeah.
like a ton more veggies or and less. You can either, I mean, I've seen people do them with quinoa, rice, just a lettuce base, or like even French fries as a base. So you can really customize it depending on the week or like what your dietary restrictions are. Such a fun meal. And then you could switch it up and do like turkey feta burger bowl or like traditional beef burger bowl. Like so many fun ways to just like keep it interesting. I think that's like a big thing for me.
Yeah, that's actually I made ginger turkey meatballs and then we did that but like as tacos. So like mini tacos with that and rice and then I made cowboy caviar to go over it, which that does have a lot of sugar in it just to make it sweet,
Yeah.
but it's like you win and lose some of them. So he hasn't tried burger yet. He's tried steak, which surprised like you should only have red meat. For him, they said red meat like once a week is okay.
Yep.
But to not push it more than that. But that didn't make his stomach upset, which was great. Chicken breast and ground turkey is all awesome. Surprisingly, chicken thighs don't agree with him now, but
Yeah.
they are a fattier piece of chicken, so it makes sense.
It's so interesting you have no reason to be doing this new diet other than because of Chris, but I love that you're choosing to just really embrace it because I feel like some people would be like, screw you, you're on your own, like make your own meals now. But the fact that you're totally embracing this and it's going to be so interesting to hear like how you're adapting because like there's going to be those quote unquote cheat meals where you're like, I really want to eat this, but it wouldn't be good for Chris, so I'm going to change this to make it work for him.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll even end up liking them better.
That's what I'm trying to figure out how to make broccoli cheddar soup work because that's his absolute favorite. And I think just the butter in that, because I make it homemade, and I think the butter in that is gonna like destroy his insides. So I need to figure out like a butter substitute, but still have it taste creamy. Because I found, what did I make the other night? I made something and it was a pasta, and he can't have like heavy cream is mostly fat. So I took it was either 2% or skim milk and I added cornstarch to it so it had the same texture as cream, but it didn't have that like creamy taste. So I need to figure out like where that balance is. If
Yeah.
anyone has any suggestions, let us know.
I wonder if a vegan butter would be enough of a
Oh,
difference because it wouldn't have the dairy, but it would like vegan butter, honestly, like when I was in college, I would sometimes buy it just by preference. So I wonder it would be worth like maybe trying in a small quantity to see if that would make enough of a difference.
yeah, that's a great idea. I'm actually going to write that down and try that.
Yeah, keep us posted. I'm so curious, but I've noticed being home versus now being back here even like the smallest differences, I didn't realize how much more I'm able to eat here versus in the States. Just like I would have considered myself extremely lactose intolerant in America. And here drink whole milk, I eat cheese, like everything, and it does not bother me at all. And it's just insane, like the difference in food. So I'm sure you're experiencing that too with Chris. Like if he came here, I bet butter probably wouldn't bother him as much, like just with those little
Yeah.
differences in food. So I'm very happy to be drinking like, which is so weird that I drink whole milk in my coffee because I've literally never used to do that. But I now look forward to it being back here that I can do it without being like violently ill.
My sister is celiac, and when we went to Italy for our family vacation, she was like, I'm in Italy, I'm going to eat carbs.
Yeah.
And she had no issues. And a lot of people are allergic to just the pesticides and
Yeah.
preservatives that we use in the States, which is so sad because it really is like it's sickening.
Yeah, it
I
is.
like,
And it's something. like living in the States, you don't notice or even realize or think about or any of these things. But then, like you said, you travel abroad, or in my case, you move abroad, whatever it is, and you slowly realize, like by just trial and error, like, oh, I want to have pasta. I'm in Italy. And it's like, this doesn't bother me at all. And then, like, I did a little bit of research. I could do more and figure out that, like, okay, there are like major differences in the way things are preserved here, which then, I mean, it's not a downside, but the difference is meat keeps in our fridge for like a day or two tops because nothing is like it's not full of all those preservatives that keep things in your fridge for a week. Like I was shocked at home we kept something in the fridge for way longer than I would ever do here. And my mom was like, "No, it's fine." I'm like, "This is shocking." But it is. It's just, there's pros and cons of literally everywhere. So that was just like something I noticed. But then again, like there's a lot of things that are better in America. So we give and we
What else should we touch on?
I was thinking it's so ironic because we could not have two more different stories about what we've been going through over the past 2 weeks. But the fact that we both came together this week and we're like, okay, now I'm getting back on track, that just, we are always so aligned, even when it like there is no reason to be, it always ends up working out. So, like, how are you getting back on a routine this week? What are like the ways that you're diving back in?
Yeah, so I actually packed my schedule this week and I had kind of been craving that. Obviously, I couldn't with all the medical stuff, which that was a crazy busy week, but I wasn't packed with fun stuff. And I actually just posted this. If you're part of our 100-day summer challenge and you're in the Facebook group, you probably saw this post. I posted it this morning. And I literally stacked our schedule this week with fun things after work. And one of my friends was she was not complaining. She was venting about how she feels like she is not that happy with her job 40 hours a week, but then it consumes her whole afternoon because she's just kind of unhappy and like, I want more, but I don't know how to get there or where to start.
Yeah.
And it made me think, and I was like, I remember being like that when I was a teacher. I would come home and just I would try to spend the whole evening just decompressing from that day because I was so unhappy with my job that it ate up all of my free time. And I was like, even though I don't feel that way with the job I have now, I don't want to slip into those habits. And I was honestly glad she had said something because it made me really think about that. So I stacked my free time with exciting stuff all week so that I could really use my free time.
Yeah.
So tonight I have spooky movie night and a snack board with my friend Liz.
Oh,
Tomorrow we have dinner with one of our old bosses who we credit with like who started our relationship, Chris and I's.
oh yeah.
Um,
I love her. Both of these people, I'm like, oh my God, like so excited you get to see.
yeah, Wednesday, I think we have like a free day, which is okay. I'm gonna need that. Thursday, I'm having dinner with my old co-teacher. We weren't co-teachers. We were both English teachers, but our rooms were separated by a door. So like I would just sneak in there. She was my neighbor and one of my very close friends to this day. So I'm gonna have dinner with her Thursday. Friday, we are gonna clean and prep because Saturday we're having our housewarming party, which we've been waiting literally since we bought the house for. So because I have all these exciting things in the afternoons pretty much all week, I have to really make use of my time in the morning and during my workday.
Mhm.
So morning routine, 4 a.m. I vlogged this morning. I was like, who is she? She's back. I went to the gym and I have been able to get my miles up. My goal has been since the beginning of the year that I want to be able to run longer distances. So for a while, my minimum mileage was like my minimum was a 1 mile, and then I'd go up to 3 miles and then kind of de escalate back to 1 mile by the end of the week. So now my minimum is 3 miles. So I'm going to try to go up and down. So I have something I'm excited and working towards in the gym, which gets me out of bed. I have a protein shake that is like addictive. It's the Jim Stepani protein shake. It's banana bread flavored, which sounds so bizarre. My father-in-law got it. I was like, what is this concoction? This is going to be disgusting. No, don't judge a protein powder by its label, friends, because it is delicious. I literally have 2 of these shakes a day because it just tastes so good.
It sounds like my dad doesn't like pumpkin spice, but he loves banana, and he says like banana bread is his equivalent of pumpkin spice. It's
Yeah.
perfect for this time of year.
Yes, and it's delicious. It literally tastes like banana bread. I don't know how they do it. It's so good. So I have that as like my reward, which I've eliminated Starbucks. I maybe get Starbucks once a week because this protein powder is like what I look forward
Your
to.
little
And
treat. Yeah. Hmm.
yep. Cooking, even though it's a lot more work now that I'm doing completely new recipes and trying all these things, that's bringing me so much joy. And I really, it's kind of a need to at this point to provide for Chris and I. So that's fun. I'm enjoying that. And I think just finding enjoyment in the day to day stuff,
Yep.
whether it's cooking or your free time. I read on the treadmill because you got me hooked on that, blowing through books. So yeah, that's just finding joy and really making the most out of my free time is the biggest takeaway from that, and scheduling the time.
I love
What
that.
about
It's so important to I love the way you've time blocked this and the way you've done like this is what I'm doing on this day, this day, this day. But like for someone that is so reliant on routine and you've been so off it, overpacking your schedule is the best way for you to do that. And then in reverse, I am a very similar type of person, but my schedule has been so packed for a month. So I'm kind of taking the opposite approach, which has been awesome. I know it's only been a couple days that I've been back here in Italy, but it's been very good to have space in my day because I've been used to like the past month where it's been go 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 go, which was amazing, but now I think we both needed that dramatic switch whether whichever way it went. So I was like so happy to just sit and work. And like I work part-time, so keep in mind this is different for everybody, but like the fact that I was able to just sit this entire day on my computer and work was something that I have not gotten in a month because it was usually like work 2 hours in the morning and then check back in an hour at night or whatever, wherever I could fit it in. But the fact that I'm able to get back into those like more, I don't want to say mundane, but like the I have less going on in my day right now, which I'm very, very grateful for. And the season's just starting. So we're not quite back into like the craziness of the season. So the timing of everything is perfect. So I'm just really happy to have like just literal free time. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think I've really been trying to give myself grace this week and be like, it's okay if I want to sit and read my book for 20 minutes right now. Like you don't have to be doing something at every moment. So I'm really enjoying that. And then Nick's first his second game, but the first one I'm able to go to. The first was in Austria, and I was like, have fun. I will not be joining you in Austria. But the first game that I'll be able to go to is on Thursday, and one of the import's girlfriends actually flew in today, so I'll meet her, and I offered to drive her to the game, and just kind of getting into that routine of yes, Nick's on the same team this year that he was last year, but there's a lot of new people, which means a lot of new girlfriends, fiancés, wives. So just like redoing the whole introductions and making friends. And that is something that I think, instead of going into it on this one, I think doing an episode on like your social battery and making friends and maintaining friends and all of that is like definitely something that I am now having to do like year after year after year, just with the way our lives are. So I'm like, definitely someone who recharges my battery when I'm alone. So I'm doing that this week and then prepping for like the excitement of Thursday's game, and then Saturday's game is home. So I'm sure that'll be like a big fun excitement. Which is amazing, but again, you have to like prep for at least for me, I really have to prep for these social gatherings so that I'm looking forward to them instead of dreading them.
yeah, absolutely. This has been great. I have loved every part of this.
There is one other, if we're gonna do this whole catch up here, there is one other important day that neither of us have mentioned yet that is happening at the end of this week.
The end of this, I don't even know what it is.
Oh,
Like,
Susan, you've been married for a year on
oh
Sunday.
yeah, okay, oh yes. I've been married for a year. And the funniest part is this morning after the gym, I ran to Walmart and I picked up all the things I needed for our anniversary gift. So Chris has been binge listening to our podcast episodes. So I'm not going to talk about it in this one because I know that he will hear it and then be like,
Oh,
I know what you're getting me. But I did stay on theme with paper because the first year you're supposed to do something with paper.
oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I cannot wait to show you guys. That'll be my favorite for next week, so I can show you what I've created. But I'm very excited for it. So yes, I can't believe it's been a year. It's like
It's
I
insane.
feel like I feel like I've been married longer than a year, but I at the same time feel like our wedding was literally 2 months ago.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, it's wild to me to think about. And then it's funny, Sunday is your 1 year anniversary of being married, and then Sunday Nick and I are doing our engagement photo shoot. And it was just so ironic that the timing that like I did not pick that day. It was the photographer was like, "We're
Yeah.
having an opening on this day." I was like, "That is so funny." Yes, like that's perfect. It's totally meant to be. So I'm so excited for that. Especially we got engaged in July, but then so much craziness, and then I came home for a month. So we're really extending like the quote unquote honeymoon era of like the engagement things. So I'm really excited, and I have like the perfect dress. There was such a saga with trying to get the right size. Princess Polly needs to work on their sizing because I'm so up in arms about it, but we got the right size. So I'm so excited for those, and I think we're gonna try and do them at like this castle that we like, which just seems so fitting. So we've so much love happening on Sunday, which I think is from so many miles away. It's so perfect that everything's so aligned as always.
Oh my goodness, it's a crazy house here. Is this the castle that you got my stuff I put on my broccoli?
It is.
That's
Yes.
like my comfort snack. Skye, did you send it home with your parents?
Yes. I picked it
Okay.
out for you when they came in late January because I was like, I've been doing gifts for people like online in the States and then just obviously sending it right to their house. But it's like, since they're here, let's get her something from Italy and then easily bring it back with them. So yes, that came from here.
So she got it for me, sent it home with her parents. Her parents mailed it to me with like a photocopy of the letter she hand wrote for me for my birthday. And it is this balsamic glaze, strawberry balsamic glaze. And I put it on my broccoli and it is my comfort snack. And I've made it last this long. So it's so fitting that
Yep.
that's where you're having your photos done.
It is, and it's somewhere. This is a castle that's a winery, and also, yeah, a castle and a winery, and they also have like this amazing shop that you can go in and do tastings and buy like wines and local products like the balsamic glaze and stuff. And my parents actually found it when they were here because we were looking for something to do on their last day. And my dad was like, "What about this place?" And we were like, how have we never heard of this?" It's now walking distance from our apartment, but it's right in. I mean, right in because it's at the top of the city basically. So the view is of the entire city, and it's like our favorite place in town. It's just so beautiful, and like we've met all the owners there because it's such a small company and it's definitely family owned. So it's just their wines are amazing, and it's a very good place. So it's perfect. If it would all align, I hope it will. I'm not sure if the photographer has like another location in mind or whatever, but yeah, it's a very special place. So I was very happy to get you something from there.
It's amazing. I absolutely love it. And I 10 out of 10 recommend if you guys are in the Murano, Italy area to go try it out because it's so spectacular.
Should
I
we
think that's
jump
oh,
into our favorites?
I didn't even write down my favorites. I have no notes. I mean, I can make some favorites up on the fly.
Um, I think we have to. This is now
Okay.
season 2, episode 1. We got to start it
You're
off. I will do mine. I'll do both of mine to give you a little
okay.
bit of time to do yours. Um, I'll do my favorite of the week, which I have two. Susan has been trying to convince me to buy a tripod for literally a year now, and I'm always like, I don't need one. Like, it's fine. Like, I don't have enough followers on TikTok to need one. I don't have this and that. And it was one of those things where we always preach, like, if you want to live your dream life, you have to just start and do it. So I don't know what motivated me to get one when I was home, but I did. I bought the exact one Susan has, and then I used it for the first time on Saturday when I was unpacking. And I didn't realize how much easier it makes things, especially for us wanting to record so much of our iPads using our digital products, being able to have the phone just set up right over you. Like in the past, I literally would have one hand holding my phone, one hand trying to write, and it's just such a time saver, and it makes me feel so much more professional. And I feel like I'm more motivated to make content now having an easier way to make content. So tripod is definitely my favorite for this week. And my other favorite is lists. And I think you probably knew this, that I had a list of restaurants I wanted to go to when I was home and a list of things I wanted to do. And I give my family and friends so much credit because we hit almost every single thing on both of those lists. And I'm so grateful that I had people that were so motivated to like make it happen for me, but also having the list made it so that I didn't miss out on things that were important to me. And I think if you make a list, you are so much more likely to check it off and do it. So take that and like run with it. You know, like make a list for everything. Make a list of things you need to get done today. Make a list of things you want to do this fall. If there's like, oh, I've always wanted to go to a fair and you never go, write it down. Like it's so much easier to get things done if you write them down. So those are
Yeah.
lists and tripod. Those are my favorites this week.
Oh, I love that. So my quote of the week is success is a decision. I know that I've definitely used that on here before, but it's on my vision board. And it's really something that I know I find myself, especially last week when I felt like I was running with a chicken, like a chicken with my head cut off. It was something I was like, okay, I can either let this sit and then just have one more thing to do tomorrow, or I can choose to just tackle this right now and get it done. And it was kind of one of those like one foot in front of the other things, but it was definitely a choice, and it was something that made me more successful in the long run because now this week I can really, delve into my routine.
Yep.
So I'm like that. My favorite of the week is my fall wardrobe. I don't know if you guys can see
So
my little outfit today, but I have just like black slacks and a sweater, and I took out all of my fall clothes and we're ready. And it's cold here today. It's like 50 or 60 here. So it's chilly, there's crisp in the air, and I'm here for it.
I love it. My quote of the week is if you weren't ready, you wouldn't have the opportunity. I think it's so easy. Like, if you have an opportunity to do something, but you're like, no, it's not the right time, or I don't have X, Y, and Z, I'm not ready to do it. Like, it would not have come into your life if you weren't ready and prepared to tackle it. So I'm kind of taking that with me, especially now being back you know what? Season two for the podcast, season two in Italy, like it's so much newness happening right now. So that's my favorite of the week.
I'm so excited. I love this.
I know. I'm so excited for this season. I feel like last season was so much of us like figuring out not only our brand but also like who we wanted to be as podcasters and what we wanted our podcast to be. And now we're jumping into season two with like such a clear plan on what we want and who we are, and it's up from here.
Yeah, you guys are in the best seats in the house right now because we are just getting started.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, you know the drill. Please leave us a review. Let us know what you want to hear on our Instagram. That's where we can connect with you guys best. And see you guys next week.
Thank you for watching.